morning to Professor Dr. Umu and my fellow friends. My name is Prrithe Doctor of Murugan. My metric number is 277015. And today I would like to share about the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. Before that, I would like to start with a famous quote of Mahatma Gandhi, which is, "The future depends on what you do today." The real name of Mahatma Gandhi is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. People used to call him as Mahatma Gandhi because Mahatma means a great soul. He was born on 2nd October 1869 at Porbandar, India. Mahatma Gandhi was an Indian lawyer, politician, social activist and writer. He married to Kasturba Gandhi and he has 4 children. His main principles was Satyagraha, which means holding on to truth, Ahimsa, which means respect all the living things and avoid violence, and lastly Swaraj. Swaraj means independence for India. Next, we will see Gandhi's childhood. In May 1883, the 13-year-old Mohandas was married to 14-year-old Kasturba Kanji in an arranged marriage. In 1885, when Gandhi was 15, the couple's first child was born but survived only a few days. Then he travelled to London, England at age 19 to study law at University College London and to train as barrister. The educational facilities at Porbandar were rudimentary. In the primary school that Mohandas attended, the children wrote the alphabet in the dust with their fingers. In 1887, Mohandas cracked through the matriculation examination of the University of Bombay and joined Samardas College in Bhavnagar. As he had to suddenly switch from his native language, which means Gujarati to English, he found rather difficult to follow the lectures. Actually, he wanted to become a doctor, but followed by his family tradition, he decided to become a lawyer. And now we will see what Mahatma Gandhi did. First, in South Africa, Gandhi first experienced racial discrimination and prejudice directed at Indians and the injustice imposed on them. This encouraged him to work for the Indian people there. His idea of non-violence and the truth developed and became known as Satyagraha. Then he came to India to fight famine and poverty. Gandhi made a detailed survey and study based upon which he began leading the cleaning of the villages. Then he started building of schools and hospitals. Gandhi also encouraged villagers to condemn and combat many social evils as apartheid. Then he organized a non-cooperation protest, non-violent strikes, peaceful resistance. Then, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre and the violence that followed triggered Gandhi's idea of a self-controlled government. And in 1947, he finally achieved what he had wished for India's independence from the British rule. Next, we will see Salt March. Salt March is an important incident which led Gandhi's protest to independence. British imposed a tax on Indian salt and a series of salt laws. The tax raised the price of Indian salt and made it difficult for Indians, especially the poor people, to buy the salt they needed for their daily life. The salt laws made it illegal for Indians to collect, produce or sell salt. Moreover, anyone who produced or sold salt in India or outside of the British, they could be imprisoned for 6 months. This made Gandhi and others decided to protest against this law. So, Gandhi organized a salt march from the Gandhi Ashram in Ahmedabad to the seaside village of Dundee in the south of Gujarat. It started on March 12, 1930 with Gandhi and his 78 volunteers. Along the 240 miles from Ahmedabad to Dundee, thousands of people joined the march to make salt himself. This march took 25 days and they finally reached the Dundee. At the end of the march, Gandhi picked up some salt from the seashore and took a pledge. He said that with this salt, I am going to shake the British Empire. With the march, Gandhi launched the civil disobedience movement against the British Empire. Following the Salt March, along with Gandhi, 80,000 of Indians were jailed. But the British administration eventually relented and invited Gandhi to London to discuss reforms in India. And Gandhi's Salt March ended up with independence to India in 1947.
Within weeks, Gandhi moved into action with his historic Salt March. On March 12, 1930, Gandhi and 78 chosen members of the Sabarmati Ashram began a 24-day march to the beach at Dundee, 241 miles away, to break the British law which deprived the poor Indian of his right to make his own sword. From March 12th to April 5th, 1930, Gandhi, leading the Peace Brigade of 78 khadi-clad disciples, made his way on winding rural roads, marching in the name of God. He had no trouble in walking. Less than 12 miles a day in 2 stages with not much luggage, he said. Child's play. He was then 61. Mrs. Sarojini Naidu, the Indian poetess of fame, joined the party on the way. The popular response was beyond all expectations. On April 5th, 1930, early in the morning, Gandhi marched to the shore, bathed in the sea, and picked up some salt left by the waves. Mrs. Sarojini Naidu, standing by his side, cried, "Hail, Deliverer!"
This I would like to show an original video which is about Gandhi and his volunteers during the Salt March. Next, we will see the leadership style that Mahatma Gandhi followed. He was a transformational leader. He inspired team members to give their best, which greatly motivates them and increases the chances of succeeding. Moreover, he has a strong vision, which guides them in the process of making a change. Gandhi led his followers greatly by example, and he was being humble by living in poor conditions, just like millions of people in India. They could relate to him, and this inspired them to give their best effort in order to make a difference. A transformational leader makes other people feel confident and powerful, which wasn't the case of the Indians since they were under the rule of the British. Gandhi empowered all these people to believe in themselves and feel influential in the change they were trying to create. India's independence couldn't have happened with one person. Everyone had to be a part of it. Gandhi encouraged them to believe in themselves in order to cause this great change in their country. At the same time, he was open to the new ideas and opinions from his followers, and some of these were implemented in his campaigns. Without being humble and empowering, Gandhi's change wouldn't have been that influential. Transformational leaders are those who work together with a group of people to make difference as well as leaving a legacy of that change. Secondly, Gandhi has a charismatic leadership. Mahatma Gandhi's actions were highly unconventional. He fought the British using the methodology of truth, non-violence, and non-cooperation and peaceful resistance rather than using a violent actions. This unconventional means of protest impressed and inspired his followers, who saw him as extraordinary and charismatic. Gandhi was not an impressive leader by appearance. For example, he stopped wearing Western clothes and donned a simple dhoti to blend with the masses, and he was jailed on numerous occasions for lengthy durations. He led a simple life without materialistic pleasures and even got beaten on occasion. Other than that, Gandhi was highly self-confident and strongly believed that that India would gain independence. Finally, Gandhi has vision, inspiration, and confidence. Other than that, he was an enthusiastic. He was able to inspire those around him with his dedication. Besides, he was an empathic. By listening to other people's needs, Gandhi gained more followers. Lastly, he was a confident person. By inspiring confidence of himself and others, his movement was strong in their convictions. Last, we would like to see his death. Gandhi had always dreamed of India as a place where Hindus and Muslims lived in harmony. He was assassinated on 30 January 1948 on the grounds of Birla House, New Delhi. The assassin had links to the extremist Hindu group. The Hindu Mahasabha shot him dead because he was against Gandhi's sympathy for Pakistan. Guys, before I end today's presentation, I would like to share another famous quote of Mahatma Gandhi, which sounds, "In a gentle way, you can shake the world." So at the end, I would like to thank Professor Dr. Umu and my fellow friends to listening my presentation for today. And thank you guys. Bye-bye.